This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Thanks also to our friends at Gulfstream for their sponsorship. Gulfstream Park. Champions start here. Also a little update on the promos. Today there is a Fan Appreciation Day. That takes place at the Green Island branch. Love to see you there. Starts at noon, goes to 5. The first 50 folks through the door get a bet voucher, giveaway item, and a racing program. There'll be a match bet promo and a contest as well during the afternoon for everybody. Complimentary food and beverage. Love to have you swing by. Give us our chance to say thank you to you at the Green Island branch today between noon and 5. Tomorrow, a $100 win-a-bet contest right here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Stop on by. Don't forget you can watch all the NCAA basketball action here as well as enjoying, obviously, all the racing action. But tomorrow, a win-a-bet contest also. That's right here at the Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Don't forget to visit the website. Click on the Tourney Bets link. Plenty of tournament action available now that we've added that as a feature on the website. Click and just take a look at the schedule, different price points, different types of contests. I think you'll find that a lot of fun. Check it out, the Tourney Bets link on capitalotb.com. And just a reminder, tomorrow night we will have thoroughbred racing, and part of that action will be the Sunland Derby. So that's tomorrow night, Sunday night, thoroughbred action here at Capital OTB. All right, today's show, I'm going to jump right in because we pre-recorded yesterday, so I know how much show we have to fit in to this next hour or so. So let's, as I say, jump right in. A little bit later on, KRISTUFEK from Fairgrounds, the paddock commentator. Big day at Fairgrounds as they are getting ready to wrap up their meet, but highlighted today, obviously, by the Louisiana Derby and a great undercard of stakes. We hit on some of those stakes and got thoughts from KRISTUFEK a little bit later on. Trainer Michael STIDHAM has Synchrony in the Munez. We'll have to face off with Bricks and Mortar from Chad Brown, but Synchrony certainly a valid contender, being the defending champ in that stakes race this afternoon at Fairgrounds. Stidham also has Sweet Diane in the Fairgrounds Oaks, and an interesting little European shipper flower party that we talked about in one of the earlier stakes on the card. So Michael Stidham coming up a little bit later on, but we're going to kick things off with Mark Casse. He has the probable favorite War of Will in the Louisiana Derby. Super Tapit will run in the New Orleans Handicap, also on the card. And in the past couple of weeks, Mark has had some nice stakes winners and stakes runners that have been on track, and so we'll talk a little bit about their recent performances and what might be up next for Shamrock Rose, Wonder Godot, Chocolate Kisses, and Flame Away. All of that up next with trainer Mark Casse.
Good morning.
Let's jump right in and talk a little War of Will in the Louisiana Derby. We're going to go back and take a look at the stretch run from the Risen Star. War of Will is the number 14 here. Wins pretty convincingly. This is a follow-up to a nice win in the Lecomte. Give us your thoughts on the performance in the Risen Star. How did he come out of it? How is he training into Saturday's performance?
You know, I thought it was a good race. We obviously drew an extremely tough post, so Tyler had to hit the gas coming away from the gate, and then he had to try to put on the brakes. And the pace ended up being extreme. Well, I don't know if you would call it extremely fast, but it was fast. Anybody that was around early didn't. I think they finished last, next to last, and third from last. The only one around at the end was was War of Will. So I think it was a great performance. I would say that he looks as good, if not better, now, and his training just as good. Got a little better post, maybe a little tougher competition, but he's ready.
What do you see pace-wise in the Louisiana Derby? It looks like you may be the speed in the race. There's the two-horse Lemon Skate has a little bit of early speed, perhaps. But what are you anticipating pace-wise on Saturday?
Well, a lot of it's going to depend on a little guy right outside of us that's an extremely smart rider named John Velasquez, I think. It's going to depend on whether he wants the lead or he wants to kind of sit on top of us. So I think that'll be the factor. You know, anybody that ever's watched Johnny knows that he's an extremely aggressive rider. So he's going to come away from there. And so how it sets up, I don't know, but he could be on the lead. We can be on the lead if we need to be. I honestly would rather him not be not so much as to why I think it would hurt our chances of winning. I would just like to get him to settle a little bit and let him learn something for the first Saturday in May.
Fill us in a little bit. Start of the career, first 4 races were on the turf, and ran third in the maiden effort back in August at Woodbine, and then you dropped him into some stakes races as a maiden. So clearly there was some high hopes for the horse. But again, those first 4 races on the turf, why the switch to the dirt? And obviously he's appreciated the surface switch, but what was the game plan early on with the turf races?
Well, I had him in Saratoga. And he trained extremely well on the dirt. But if you look at his pedigree, he's by Warfront out of a Sadler Wells mare. So as well as he worked on the dirt, I kind of thought his future would probably be grass. I told Gary Barber, I said, I think we have something special, and I think we can win the Summer Stakes. Well, to do that, it's extremely important. Anybody that knows Woodbine is to get a good race over the turf course there. So I sent him there, and he probably, he was maybe 80% for his maiden race, and he disappointed me. I thought, honestly, that he would just blow that field away, but he needed a race over the turf course. But I didn't lose any confidence in him. I felt like he came back after that and trained extremely well, so we ran him in the Grade 1, and he ran well. And after that, we were looking at the Bourbon at Keeneland, which is a win in your end. And, I mean, we're running well on the grass. We just didn't feel like it was a good time to try the dirt, even though he continued to train well on the dirt. So we ran well. So then, of course, we went to the Breeders' Cup. And his Breeders' Cup performance was a lot better than it looked. I think he ran 65 feet farther than the winner, 90 feet farther than the second horse, and something like that for the third horse. So he had an extremely difficult trip in the Breeders' Cup turf. He could have very well won it, I think, with a better trip. Thank goodness he didn't. Because if he had, I never would have probably ran him on the dirt. So after that performance in the Breeders' Cup, Gary and I talked about it, and we thought there was ever a chance to try the dirt, it's now. And so we ran him on the dirt at Churchill the last day of the fall meet, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's funny. If he had run better the Breeders' Cup turf, everything might be different, but certainly looked good at Churchill with that maiden breaker, and that has to give you a little confidence going into the 3-year-old season with the Kentucky Derby sitting out there a few weeks away. It has to give you a little bit of confidence to have a win over the track.
Oh, definitely, and I came away from the win at Churchill with a lot of confidence, and I'll tell you why. I believe it was the Jockey Club was run the race before, or 2 races before, and in that race you had the second place and third place finishers in the Breeders' Cup. I think the race went about 10/100ths of a second faster than we did, and it was an all-out drive. Everybody was, they were fully extended. If you watched War Will that day, Tyler shut him down with about 100 yards to go. So without a doubt, Ward Will would have run much faster than the Jockey Club. So I had something to compare his performance to. And another thing, when I looked at the maiden race at Churchill that day, I said, this is no walkover. It was an extremely tough race. And he kind of just destroyed the field. So at that point in time, I started thinking Kentucky Derby, and, we may have a very, very serious horse.
And just fill us in. Obviously, you have to get through Saturday, but points-wise, you should be set. So, what is the game plan out of the fairgrounds? Do you head right up to Churchill Downs and train there?
Well, no. What we'll probably do, that division, my New Orleans division, will go to Lexington.
Okay.
With David Carroll, who is my head assistant, and he'll stay there for a while. Probably, I haven't absolutely decided, but I would see him going over to Churchill maybe 10 days out or something, and having his last breathe at Churchill. But all that kind of, right now, it's been total concentration on on Saturday. So on the Louisiana Derby, let's get through that, and then we'll figure out the rest.
Absolutely. All right, let's move a little earlier on the card, because, again, you have some stakes performers also running on the undercard on Saturday. Let's go to the New Orleans Handicap Super Tappet for Live Oak. And I'm going to go back and pull up that Sunshine Millions Classic. Super Tappet's going to be the number 8 horse. Nice gutsy win here over Jay's Way. Chart margin half a length. That was 2 starts back. Had some trouble in the Razorback last time. Give us your thoughts, what happened in the Razorback, but going back to the Sunshine Millions that we're going to take a look at. I'm sure you're hoping for a bounce back like that. And what are your expectations on Saturday for Super Tappet?
The Sunshine Million was actually probably a little better race than it looked. He got away a little slow, and anybody that follows Gulfstream knows an outside post going 2 turns is extremely difficult. So it was a good effort. Obviously, he's going to be facing much tougher in the race, the New Orleans Handicap. His last race, he did encounter some trouble. Most of it caused by his something that he's got a bad habit about, and that's he breaks a little slow. And so he did get a little trouble. Maybe he was a little wide in the first turn. Made a nice kind of middle move. Looked like he was going to win, and then flattened out down the lane. He'll need to come with a better effort. I think he has it in him. He has been a horse that we've been high on since the beginning, and I would consider him right now still a real underachiever. I still expect big things out of him.
And you talked about him maybe having some gait issues, breaks a little slow. He's a 5-year-old. Interested just the nuts and bolts of the job of a trainer. A horse at that age, are there things you can do to work on to kind of get him over that?
Normally, it's not that he does anything wrong in the gait. He just breaks slow. He's done it. It took us, it's interesting because we ran him, I believe, at the beginning of his 3-year-old year. He ran at the fairgrounds, and it took us 2 or 3 months to get him okayed out of the gate because he would break so slow. So I can remember having the conversation with Mrs. Weber and saying, look, I'm going to run him long first time out, which is a little unusual, but he's going to break slow, and he's going to give everybody a head start, but it shouldn't matter. And I said, but he's a bit of a, he can be a handful. So sure enough, he broke slow, circled the field, won impressively, and then galloping out, he went and took a right-hand turn and went out the gap over on the backside. So he's been a handful since day one.
That's what allows you to earn your money.
Yeah, it's why I don't have a lot of hair.
Let's go a little bit earlier on the card. La Sola Ranger in the New Orleans Ladies. 3rd race on Saturday is the schedule. And this one comes out of a nice little optional claimer earlier in the fairgrounds meet, February 8th. Looking at the PPs, this will be the stakes debut for La Sola Ranger, but coming out of the nice win last time. Now, it was a little bit of a come from the clouds kind of an effort. What are you expecting on Saturday in the stakes debut for La Sola Ranger?
Well, it's a big step up. Let's face it. She's going to need to have a really good trip and give probably the race of her life to be competitive. Only thing I can tell you is she's training extremely well right now, and all indications are that she is going to come up with a top effort. The big question is it good enough?
Yeah, I'm a Byers guy, and on the Byers, she's kind of right in there. Bo Rico, Vagabond Princess, maybe a little bit of an edge there, but she's moving in the right direction.
I'm a thoroughgraph guy.
Okay.
And hers are a little on the weak side as far as that goes.
Okay.
Back to the others, if you go thoroughgraph Super Tap, it's got a heck of a shot.
Oh, okay, very good.
And if you go to thoroughgraphs with War of Will, he towers above them.
Nice. Very good.
But everybody has opinions and everybody has their systems. So it's just who you choose to pick. And as I always said, there's a lot of opinions out there, but the good news is it's not a pony show. It's a race, and most of the time the best horse wins, so we're just going to hope we're the best horse.
Very good. And so good luck on Saturday. And Mark, before I let you go, I just wanted to catch up on a few runners that you've had recently and see what maybe the game plan is going forward for them. Go back to last week down at Oak Lawn and the Azeri. Shamrock Rose, the Eclipse winner. We haven't talked to you since the Eclipse, so congratulations on Shamrock Rose winning the female sprinter Eclipse. But I thought in this was just a fabulous addition of the Azeri. She's going to be on the lead here. Shamrock Rose, the number 6, and eventually gets passed by Midnight Bijou and Elate. I thought with her sprinter speed, she was going to be able to maybe run them home. Just as we're watching here, just gets kind of run down late. But this was a nice performance by her. 2 turns, obviously, in the Azeri, but again, she was the sprint champion on the female side last year. What do you have planned for her next out?
I thought turning for home she was a winner.
So did I.
It was a great race. I thought Midnight Bazoo won with complete control, and Bill's filly Elite. She ran a big race. My thought is, given the great trip we had, I don't think we can beat those fillies. Not right now. So we're going to abandon Oak Lawn with her, and right now I'm aiming her for the Madison, which is 7/8 at Keeneland,
okay.
Grade 1. Her only start at Keeneland was extremely impressive, so we're going back to back home for her and see how that works.
Very good. Seasonal debut back on March 8th for Wonder Gadot. Wound up second in this race at Oak Lawn. Go Google yourself the number 7 wins. Wonder Gadot runs second. What was your takeaway from the seasonal debut for Wonder Gadot, and what's up next for her?
I was happy with it. What happened, as a trainer, and a lot of people don't understand or know the way it all works. Is though we can't always choose the races that we are going to run in. We kind of have to take what's given to us. I wanted to get a race into her before the Apple Blossom, so she probably ran maybe a work or two earlier than normally I would have liked, but I just soon run them as breeze them. So I thought her race was good. She's going to stay and run in the Apple Blossom. She doesn't have a whole lot more to prove in her career. The one thing she lacks is a Grade 1 win. So we're going to maybe shoot for the moon a little bit, but she's shown on her best days that she can run with the best, and we just got to hope we come with one of her best days.
Yeah, we were up there at Woodbine last summer for her win in the Queen's Plate, and of course second earlier last year in the Kentucky Oaks, so looking forward to seeing her in the Apple Blossom. Want to go back to a couple more performances. Take a look at Chocolate Kisses in the Honeybee at Oak Lawn. This was March 9th. The number 5 horse is Chocolate Kisses, and I'm looking at her record, and boy, you have plenty of opportunities with her breeding. She's akin to Synchrony, the nice stakes runner that'll be on the card Saturday at Fairgrounds. And she's run some nice turf races as well. But off of this dirt race, again, I think you have plenty of opportunities going forward. What's going to be the game plan with Chocolate Kisses?
My thought with Chocolate Kisses, a lot of people, in fact, I read some comments or listened to some comments, they were surprised that I took her to Oaklawn to run her on the dirt because they said, well, she's good on the grass. I think she's just okay on the grass.
Oh, okay.
I think personally that what I've seen of her, I think she's just a horse on the grass. We worked her last fall at Churchill Downs on the dirt, and I thought she worked as good as any 2-year-old filly I've ever trained on the dirt. She worked Kentucky Derby type of work. For a 2-year-old filly in the fall, that's extremely impressive. So that's why I ran her in the Alcibiades. Her Alcibiades race was extremely good in that she had an outside post. She was bothered. Going into the first turn, she was probably last by 4 or 5 lengths. Made a big, wide, sustained move for a long ways and finished 4th. I thought it was really good. In fact, it was so good that I played with the idea of running her in the Breeders' Cup 2-year-old filly race, but we decided no, we're going to try to get her confidence up. So we ran her in the Rags for Riches, and she lunged at the start, came down and caught her right front back of her foot and tore part of her foot off and got loose, dropped the rider, and so it took us a while to get her back. And the exciting thing about her is the Ashland, I'm going to run her in the Ashland. The Ashland maybe won't set up so well because of the short stretch there. But if this filly can continue to train, she looked great this morning. She loves Churchill Downs. So you can tell where I'm heading.
Very good. And finally, just get some thoughts on Flame Away. Nice little three-year-old for you last year. Won the Sam Davis, second in the Tampa Derby, second in the Bluegrass up here in our neck of the woods, second in the Jim Dandy. We're going to take a look at the Challenger March 9th down at Tampa. Flame Away is going to be the number 1 horse. Nice little win, nice little confidence booster for Flame Away. What's up next for him?
The Ben Alley at Keeneland. You know, he ran second in the Bluegrass game winner not game winner. I got game winner on my brain right now. But he finished second to the 2-year-old champion. Escapes me right this second. But anyways, he ran second in the Bluegrass last year. We're going to go to the Ben Alley, and hopefully if he were to give us a really big performance, we maybe look at the Alley Sheba at Churchill on Derby week.
Very good. And Mark, again, we appreciate the time. I know it's a busy weekend for you with the runners at Fairgrounds. Wish you a lot of luck. And before I let you go, we tried to get you a couple of weeks ago, but you're over at OBS looking at some 2-year-olds. You wind up with something that maybe we can look forward to at Saratoga?
Well, I hope so. My brother is we bought, let's see, what did we get? We bought an uncaptured filly who we're very, fond of uncaptured for. And then I think we bought a Tapizar filly and in the Mischief filly. So, we were lucky. We bought 3. We were underbidder on a couple of big ones. But we'll see. We'll see. I think we have a really nice bunch of young horses I'm excited about, and hopefully some of them will make it to Saratoga.
Very good. Looking forward to it. Mark, again, wish you a lot of luck on the weekend, and we'll talk again.
Well, thanks for having me. Have
Appreciate
a great day.
Mark Casse, War of Will, clear-cut favorite coming up in the Louisiana Derby, but hit on some of his other horses as well, including some that have run very well over the past couple of weeks, and where to look forward to them going forward also. Yeah, I've said for a month now probably, it seems like this Derby trail season a lot like last year with just horses beating each other. But War of Will has strung a couple together with the LeCompte and the Risen Star. We'll see if he can continue this afternoon in the Louisiana Derby. And again, wish Mark Casse and his team a lot of luck. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, Michael Stidham has Synchrony, nice turf runner on the card. in stakes action at the fairgrounds. We'll talk about that one and more right after this. Stay tuned.
It may be cold in the Northeast, but in South Florida, the action's hot. This winter, be part of the championship meet at Gulfstream Park, where the fields are deep and the payouts are big. With some of the most competitive turf racing in America, Gulfstream Park is your winter destination for the finest in championship thoroughbred horse racing. And if you're looking for the top jockeys and best trainers, you'll find them all at Gulfstream Park. So play it today. Gulfstream Park. Champions start here.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. You'll get live streaming, past performances, race replays, our virtual tote board, analysis and selections from professional handicappers, a simple, safe, and secure wagering platform, and best of all, you get track prices. CapitalOTBBet.com. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. Big stakes day at the fairgrounds. Again, a little bit later on, we'll talk to Michael Stidham, Synchrony, Sweet Diane in the Fairground Oaks. Before we do that, though, want to catch up with Joe KRISTUFEK, our buddy paddock commentator down at Fairgrounds. And he's got the nice circuit now, Fairgrounds and Churchill Downs. Fairgrounds about to wind up their meet. So we talked a little overview of where we are standing as far as trainers and jockeys coming into the last couple days of the meet, but also got some of Joe's thoughts on the stakes action this afternoon at the fairgrounds. Up next, Joe KRISTUFEK. Happy to be joined now by our friend Joe KRISTUFEK. You see him down in the paddock before the races at the fairgrounds. Joe, good morning.
Good morning.
And I was going to lead into this by saying we see you in the paddock fairground, and it's hard to believe. Where'd the meet go? We're a couple days away from the meet wrapping up.
Yeah, I really haven't had an opportunity to wrap my head around that yet. I'm actually going to have a little time to breathe next week before I pack the car back up and head to Louisville and get ready for another Derby.
Really? And that will be the game plan for you, straight from fairgrounds back up to home base at Churchill?
Yeah, I'll do that, but I'm also going to go to the Arkansas Derby this year, and I haven't been to Oaklawn in about more years than I'd like to admit, so I'm really looking forward to that.
We were talking before we went on the air, some of the Nadow gang down at New Orleans watching some races down there during this meet, but I know they've become enamored with Oaklawn and the Arkansas Derby, so they're heading there. That should be now I'm envious. That'll be a nice weekend down in Hot Springs.
Yeah, hopefully Mother Nature smiles on Hot Springs the way they've smiled on us, because we have had a perfect week. I know you're going to ask me about the track and the turf and the weather, and it's going to be in the 70s. It's going to be partly cloudy. It's going to be fast. It's going to be firm, and we're going to be at 0 on the turf. So, 22 feet of fresh ground on the inside, which to me, and we saw it on Risen Star Day, I think you really need to try to pay attention to horses that are going to get inside trips on the grass.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very good. And perfect that the weather's going to turn out, because this is the big day, obviously. And you guys have a great series that lead into this day, so everybody gets kind of a feel for these horses. Louisiana Derby will highlight the day on Saturday, and there's a great undercard of stakes. But before we get to that, I just want to touch on, as I said, the meet wraps up this weekend, and I pulled up the stats from Equibase this morning. We're taping on Friday, so by Saturday, these may juggle up slightly. But trainer side, Brad Cox for Joe Sharp there, 48 and 45, well ahead of Steve Asmussen with 29, Tom Ameson third. So Brad Cox and Joe Sharp, we duke out a little bit over the weekend. On the jockey side, Adam Beschizza in the lead over James Graham. And again, Friday morning stats 78 to 75. They're well ahead of Florent Giraud, Hernandez and Merle in the fourth and fifth positions. But Adam Beschizza kind of came to the forefront, and a lot of people recognized the name last year at this meet. But boy, he's done very well certainly this year. I guess like last year, his game plan will be to head to Churchill?
Yeah, Keelan Churchill, I believe he's going to do the Kentucky Fairgrounds circuit like a lot of these guys do. And the thing about Adam last year, Joe Sharp kind of carried him a little bit. This year, he's still Joe's main man, but Adam's kind of branched out a little bit and ridden a lot of live horses for a lot of different trainers. So his career is definitely on the upswing. Kentucky was a mixed bag for him last year, so we'll see if his stats improve at Keelan and Churchill, but he certainly is off to a nice springboard for those meets with the potential title here in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's a nice little jockey colony down there, so to wind up, again, it's going to be a little duel between him and James Graham as the last few days of the meet unfold, but if he winds up with this as a feather in his cap, certainly be interesting to watch him going forward. All right, let's jump in now and talk a little bit about a nice stakes day on Saturday, highlighted by the Louisiana Derby, so why don't we walk our way back from the highlight. Race 13 on Saturday, Louisiana Derby, Grade 2 event, $1 million up for grabs, a mile and an eighth. And Joe, while we talk, I'm going to pull up the Tampa Bay allowance optional claimer. We're going to watch number 2, Spinoff, win. I was in here doing the handicapping show that day, and I thought this was a performance that a horse could build on. Certainly a Pletcher horse hadn't been seen since a third-place finish in the Saratoga Special in August. So this was a nice comeback. And it's also notable that Pletcher took, over the last few years, the Tampa route with horses like Always Dreaming and Magnum Moon. I'm tilting in favor of Spinoff as maybe being a little bit of an upsetter, but certainly you have to get through War Will, the Mark Casse horse, who has come through this Fairgrounds trail, winning the LeCompte and the Risen Star, and Country House for Bill Mott, coming out of the second behind Warville last time in the Risen Star, is interesting as well. And if I'm going to play around with a real little bit of a long shot, Bank It for Asmussen, interesting. So there are my thoughts on the race. What do you think in the Louisiana Derby?
Yeah, well, we'll start with Spinoff. I got a chance to talk to Todd earlier this week, and he kind of walked me through another one that around was Vino Rosso, won a lot there with John V. And very similar with an light race. I get Tom one race. Obviously, he did the thing and lead 4 horses. But he did it right. He's heading to be a horse moving forward. And what Todd said was this race is 6 weeks out. So theoretically, it got enough points to get in Derby, no problem. Training Mount Louisville, if he still needs points, he could still run in the Arkansas Derby in 3 weeks. So the timing is right for this horse based on the inexperience. Drawn to the outside, in Todd's perfect world, according to what he told me, he would love to be the one tracking War of Will. There's not a lot of speed in here. War of Will's probably going to be forwardly placed. Spinoff is drawn outside of him. So, you know, if they could draw it up the way they want it, Johnny V would be tracking War of Will, slow splits, try to beat him on the turn.
Yeah, and as I say, Country House for Bill Mott, like Spinoff, lightly raced. I think there's some upside potential there as well. He makes it interesting. And Bank It for Asmussen comes out of the 5th place finish in the Southwest. I just found it interesting that they kind of choose to come to this spot off a nice race for them last weekend with Toddy. Hot long-range Toddy?
Long-range Toddy.
Yeah,
he ran huge,
no
doubt.
And so Bank It's interesting to me. What are your thoughts on the rest of the field?
Well, I mean, I like War of Will. I think tactically he is going to be in the right position, like I mentioned earlier. He did draw post 6 here, which is going to make it a little more tough than last time when he was 13. People were worried about it, but this is a big, long-striding colt that needs to be in the clear, and I think he will be, even from post 6, because there's not a lot of speed. I think of the Asmussens, I think Limonite's very interesting.
Yeah.
He never got a clear shot in the Risen Star. I think you liked him a little bit in the Risen Star. He was buried on the rail, never got a clear shot, has shown better tactical speed in the past. He's got a better post position, probably needed that last race. If I think, and you got Jose Ortiz, man. So, you know that Mr. Steve is serious about this one. I think Limonite's going to take a big step forward. But I think they're going to have to go a long way to beat War of Will. Country House, obviously, green in the stretch, chasing War of Will last time. But I don't think he was ever getting to him. I think this race is pretty logical. My long shot would be Limonite, though.
All right, very interesting. And let's move one race sooner on the card. The 3-year-old girls in the Fairgrounds Oaks Grade 2 event, $400,000 up for grabs, 8.5 furlongs. Going to pull up the replay of the Rachel Alexandra because the top three finishers there come back. Serengeti Empress will be the number 3 horse. That'll be your winner. Leora, the number 5, runs second. And Eris 2, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the number 8 runs third in here. Both the second and third place finishers were long shots that day at 23-1 and 25-1. There'll be shorter prices on Saturday, but it does look like it's once again going to go through Serengeti Empress, given what we saw her do in Rachel Alexandra. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, take that race video and let's play it back after the Fairgrounds Oaks and put them side by side, and I think they're going to look very similar. Freak band also that race ran, so I'm going to pick them way much better for Leora is interesting, but she's belongs on. Ben Colin said, how long the Fairgrounds was his target. You know, he ran in the Silver Bullet because she was round and it was a short field. She would rage Alexandra because it complete. It's for Bullet, and he tried to bury her. He was at, now she's the Bullet on. She's going to be closer and get Empress. But going into the race, Tom said that he thought they were getting Empress in the race. If he did that race and she's better than she was on that day, on Saturday, man, that's scary. I mean, she looked really good. She went gate to wire. There's some other speed in here, but not her quality or her caliber. Tom told me on the phone the other day he's going to the lead. If the rest of them want to try to go with her, best of luck. He's in the Oaks already, but he's not going to play cute and try to raid her and try to experiment. He's going to try to win the race.
Yeah, she just looked so good last time, and it doesn't look like any of the new shooters have the ability to really step up and challenge there. So Serengeti Empress looking pretty good in the Fairgrounds Oaks. A little bit earlier, the Munez Memorial, that's going to be on the grass at about 1 mile and an eighth. Nice field in here, very nice field, and I think it's highlighted by bricks and mortar for Chad and Klarovich. We're going to go back and watch the Pegasus World Cup Turf from January 26th. Bricks and Mortar will be the number 7 horse in here and making it look pretty easy down at Gulfstream. But this isn't a field, I mean, it doesn't have this field over a barrel by any means. Synchrony comes in off a good performance in the Fairgrounds handicap last time for Michael Sidham. Dividero also has the ability to step up big. Inspector Lindley with some triple-digit buyers underneath. I think, obviously, because of the name, Chad and Klarovich, Bricks and Mortar will take the action, and deservedly so, off the race that we're taking a look at the Pegasus World Cup Turf. But I think this is a competitive field in the Munez. How did you see it?
I agree with everything you said. Bricks and Mortar's horse to beat, but you're going to have to take a short price. He could win, could run fourth. I mean, this is a good field. Mentioned Dividero doesn't win very often. Inspector Lindley's in the best form this week. I'm going to give you a little bit of information. Bendoa is going to go in New Orleans, okay, and Premium is in the scratch. So those are two that you need to worry handicapping. But I go around out of speed. I mentioned earlier out the inside part of the turf for the fresh grass, and I am very, very, very familiar with Hot Spring, and I'm going against one of my major rules when handicapping turf races, not to take early in the year 4-year-olds against veteran older horses on the grass. Hot Springs is going to be a big price. He, speed figure-wise, doesn't look like he might be as high a quality as some of these others. He needs to prove his class against older horses. But I can guarantee you Steve Asmussen has this horse ready. You get Luis Saez, you get the rail, you get tactical speed. He's gonna, if he breaks alertly, he's gonna get the trip. Now, how that plays out, as far as the pace scenario goes, I'd be shocked if it were a reasonable pace. I think it's going to be an absolute walk up front. If it's a walk up front, yeah, those other horses are great. Synchrony's great, Bricks and Mortar's great, Dividero, Inspector Lindley, but they're all turn of foot, off the pace closers. Hot Springs is going to get the right trip, and man, I wouldn't be surprised to see him post a huge upset.
All right, I like it. We're looking at 15-1 on the morning line. And finally, let's take a look at the New Orleans handicap. Field of 7 in here, and it a very intriguing field. Again, another one on the card. We're going to take a look at the I'm just looking at my notes here. The Razorback from Oak Lawn on February 18th. Copper Bullet's going to run second in here, but Cold Front is over to Dubai. Rated R Superstar comes back to win the Essex last week. They're the first and third place finishers, bookending Copper Bullet. Cold Front will be number 14. Copper Bullet number 1. Number 9 is Rated R Superstar. So again, off of kind of being flattered maybe by Rated R Superstar last week in the ambitious placement of Cold Front, I think Copper Bullet's in here at a 4-1 morning line with Jose Ortiz on board for Steve Asmussen. But again, Mr. Buff coming down from New York. John Kimmel, also intriguing. Mark Casse with Super Tap It. I'm going to draw a line through the Razorback. I think the horse is better than that and had some trouble in that race. I'm going to go back and look at the Sunshine Millions Classic for what we can expect on Saturday from Super Tablet. Lone Sailor, maybe a little bit interesting for Tommy Amos as a 4-year-old making the second start of the season. What are your thoughts in the New Orleans handicap?
This is the most fascinating of the 4 races from handicapping and betting perspective. You didn't mention Noble, who won the Louisiana Derby last year. His fork's terrible. To Todd, he said, Triple Crown Clam, the other mistake shot ran trouble. They give him some balls, yelled him, was a big deal. Then he ran 6-1 race against Ashley, where he got ran off Pete. That crap this. That's a track he has as a 3-year-old. I won't go out. That being said, I say about the horses here. I'm just quite a few of them to give a very edge for tap. I love those street races. And then the Razorback, off really where he lost 5 lengths. He was 4 wide, a steady advance. He loomed boldly 6 wide, and then he just kind of flattened out. He just had too much that he had to do in the early stages of the race. So I think Super Tapit will be a square enough price. Copper Bullet, I'm not sold that he's a 9-furlong horse. He's got a tough outside post. He can certainly win. I think he's going to wind up going off as the favorite. Bandua's interesting. He's got dirt influences in the pedigree. Sisterson, Calumet. They pass on the Muniz, where I think they fit a lot better, particularly given the fact that there's no speed in the Muniz. I don't agree with their decision to run here, but the horse had a bullet workout on dirt and is a little bit intriguing as well. And then Silver Dust is a head case, but he looked really good winning the Mine Shaft, and he got the home court advantage. So it's a great race. I mean, I couldn't argue if you went 5 or 6 different ways with a strong opinion. Just a fascinating race from top to bottom.
Yeah, I agree completely, and it's a great card. Wish you and everybody down at Fairgrounds a lot of good fortune on the day, and as you say, nice weather anticipated, so really looking forward to a great stakes afternoon. To put an exclamation point on a nice Fairgrounds meet, which, as I said, went way too fast. But before we let you go, Joe, want to get a little update. As we've talked to you during the meet, you've had some of your starters with the Brilliant Racing partnership that you put together, racing down there at the Fairgrounds. And as we talked before we went on the air, you've got another division of that partnership fired up. Give us an update on Brilliant Racing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We just had 2 horses back-to-back run second for Michelle Lovell at Fairgrounds. War Bond, who we claimed for 10, ran him for 17.5. He got beat in nose. It was heartbreaking. And then, yes, it's Ginger, one of the 2-year-olds we bought. She ran a really good second in a maiden special weight turf sprint here just about a week ago. Second partnership is open for business, a brand-new partnership, brand-new set of horses. Go to brillianthorseracing.com for more information. Email us at brilliantracing@gmail.com. Again, the website's Brilliant Horse Racing. The email address is Brilliant Racing. But if you're interested in getting involved in horse ownership, we've got owners from New York, we've got owners from Kentucky, from Texas, from Chicago, from all over the country. If you're interested in it and getting in at a reasonable level where you're not taking too big of a risk and you want to have some fun, all I can suggest is check us out.
Yeah, brillianthorseracing.com. I just pulled up the website. I just typed in Brilliant Racing into Google, and it came right up. So very easy to find.
There you go.
Yeah, if people are looking to jump into the game a little bit, that's certainly a lot of fun. And I know some of the partners, and they're certainly enjoying their experience. So wish you a lot of luck with that as well. Joe, as always, appreciate the visit. Have a great day on Saturday, and certainly we'll be talking to you in the weeks to come from Louisville.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Thanks again to you for having me on and promoting the Louisiana Derby. We're very proud of the day coming up on Saturday and looking forward to the remainder of the road to the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown.
Very good. And Joe, travel safe when you head north.
All right, thanks, Seth.
Joe KRISTUFEK from Fairgrounds on their big day, Louisiana Derby, the exclamation point on a fun Fairgrounds meet. Again, great gig for Joe KRISTUFEK now. Winter in Fairgrounds and most of the rest of the year up at Churchill. So next time we talk to him, probably be approaching the Derby up at Churchill Downs, but we appreciate his time. Apologies for the sound issues. That's like the 4th week we've done it. We got to figure that out. Some kind of technical issue here with some of those sound issues. So again, apologies there. We'll work on that. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, trainer Michael Stidham. Stay tuned.
Heavily just witnessed a felony.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, the Capital Region's only destination for live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. And they're off. Horse betting is now at Rivers Casino and Resort with Capital off-track betting terminals and live tellers located just off the gaming floor at Van Slyck's. Get in on all the action at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Runs at him with 1 furlong to run. They've let flat out behind. Fort Larned digs in. Mucho Macho Man runs at him. Fort Larned, Mucho Macho Man. Fort Larned with the heart of a champion.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
He has entrance in 3 stakes, Synchrony in the Munez, Sweet Diane in the Fairground Oaks, and Flower Party a little bit earlier on the card. Interesting European shipper, but also a couple of maidens in race number 5. We caught up with trainer Michael Stidham, got updates on all of those horses. That's up next. Joined now by trainer Michael Stidham with some interesting entrance in the Fairgrounds Stakes action on Saturday afternoon. Mike, good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't we start right out? Well, why don't we start right out? First, I went to Equibase last night, and I'll start out by just giving you a tip of the cap and congratulating you. String the winter at Fairgrounds and also over at Tampa. I pulled up the Equibase stats. As we get to the end of the Fairgrounds meet, you're flirting with a top 5 performance there, sitting 3rd among the trainers over at Tampa. So again, tip of the cap and congratulations on a nice winter season.
Yeah, we appreciate it. The horses have been running well. We got a great crew that does a good job, and the whole thing works and keeps us up there in good standing.
And just out of curiosity, I'm always interested in the nuts and bolts when I get trainers on the line. How do you decide how to split them up? Who goes to Fairgrounds and who goes over to Tampa?
Well, I mean, the racing over in Tampa, we tend to send, we send a few of the good horses over there, but they have some pretty good, we have a lot of turf horses.
Yeah.
And Tampa tends to have some of the cheaper grass racing over there that we're able to utilize for some of the horses that wouldn't get to run here at the Fairgrounds because the turf racing here is a little, higher end. So, we try to split them up to give those horses a chance that wouldn't normally get a chance over here in New Orleans.
Interesting. All right, speaking of a horse over at Tampa, let's start out with your runner in the Fairground Oaks, Sweet Diane. We're going to take a look at her last race, which was a 3rd place finish in the Suncoast at Tampa. 7 Point of Honor will be the winner. Number 4, Lady Kate, runs 2nd. And Sweet Diane is the number 9 horse. Again, this was the Suncoast back at the beginning of February. And I'm looking at the workouts underneath, and it looks like maybe the game plan was coming out of this. You would aim for the race at the Fairgrounds because you switched from working at Tampa over to the last few works at Fairgrounds. Give us your thoughts on the Suncoast, and then what was the game plan to come over and try the Fairground Oaks with Sweet Diane?
Well, actually, with Sweet Diane, she's a big frame filly that needed some spacing between her races because we could see that she was in a growth pattern and that she was developing, and we didn't want to crowd her races. So we actually started. She ran a good 2nd in a little stake at Gulfstream early in the year. We gave her some time between races and ran back in the Suncoast, and she made on the numbers she made a step forward in the Tampa stake, and we're hoping that step forward is going to lead to another move forward, which she will need to. She will need to have a pretty good step up to be able to compete in a Grade 2 here at the fairgrounds. So we're hoping that, taking our time with her, spacing her races is going to be the key, and we're looking for a big effort tomorrow.
Yeah, she's still lightly raced, so I'm assuming you're anticipating there's still upside potential.
Oh, I think there definitely is, and like I say, she's a filly that mentally and physically has come a long way, as the year has progressed.
And I'm always curious when I talk to trainers, and in fact, we just talked to Mark CASSE a little while ago, and he mentioned he uses the Thorograph numbers. You were talking about Sweet Diane on the sheets. What numbers do you use?
Well, I've been a big Ragozin fan, and I've used Ragozin for claiming over the years. I use them for picking the right stakes for my horses and the right races for my horses, and when I'm handicapping and gambling a little bit, they come in handy there too. So I'm a big Ragozin fan.
I like it. All right, Sweet Diane in the Fairground Oaks a little bit earlier on the card in the Munez Memorial. Nice little turf race. I mean, Chad has bricks and mortar. That horse is going to take a lot of action off the Pegasus World Cup turf race. But Synchrony has a horse for a course angle going, and we're going to take a look at Synchrony. In fact, the Fairgrounds handicap back on February 16th, Synchrony is going to be the number 9 horse in here. This win in the Fairgrounds handicap makes Synchrony now 4 for 4 over the Fairgrounds turf course. But more importantly, maybe for me, won this race last year, the Fairgrounds handicap, and then followed up by winning the Munez. So coming in with the same kind of pattern as this horse had in the winning effort last year, talk about coming out of this year's Fairgrounds handicap and your confidence level going into Saturday's race.
Well, after the end of last year when he ran out of Del Mar in a race where he was in trouble throughout most of the race, had nowhere to go, and was really flying at the end, probably should have been the winner that day, we decided to give him a little bit of a break. He was doing so well physically that we never took him off the racetrack. We just kind of lightened up on his training, did some jogging and walking, and, just freshened him a bit. And it was about 3 months in between races, and when we ran him back last month in the Fairgrounds handicap, he came right off the bench and, ran one of his big efforts. So the freshening did him good, and he's done nothing but move forward in his training and, his appearance and mentally going into this race. So I feel really good about him. And like you said, he's never been beaten on this turf course, and we're hoping it continues. I mean, this will definitely be his toughest test, running against a horse like Bricks and Mortar, but we're hoping that the home field advantage works in our favor.
Yeah, and as a trainer, as a handicapper, I do, but as a trainer, I'm curious, do you buy into a horse for a course angle, not just with Synchrony, with other horses? Do some of them just kind of really appreciate one surface as opposed to another, and there is an actual horse for a course kind of a play?
Oh, I don't think there's any question about that. I think some horses really have an affinity to certain courses, and they tend to run their best races there, and that's definitely the case with Synchrony here.
Yeah, certainly has shown a real affinity for the course, 4 for 4, so we wish him a lot of luck and you a lot of luck on Saturday. Let's go a little earlier, the New Orleans ladies, and you can give us handicappers a little bit of inside info on Flower Party, because these are the kind, I'm always, foreign horses when they come over, it's always a little bit of a guessing game. We're going to take a look. I found the horses race 2 back in Italy on YouTube. So we're going to take a look at that, the October 13th race. Flower Party will be wearing a yellow checks and have a check cap. Will take the lead late in this race and then hold off a very nice closer for a gutsy win. This is a Group 3 in Italy, again, in last October. Followed it up with a 4th place finish in a Group 1. Has a nice sibling. I looked up some of the breeding. Has a sibling called Birthday Party that was a top 2-year-old filly on the grass in Italy last year. So there's some nice breeding. But again, these European runners are always a little bit of a question mark. Your thoughts on Flower Party in Saturday's New Orleans ladies?
Well, one of the things that the people that are out there just looking at paper, a form on horses from Europe, they really don't know how they acclimated since they've been over here, how they've been working, how they've adapted, to the left-handed turns if they've been running right-handed over there. And the only thing I can tell you about Flower Party is that she took a little while to acclimate, but once she did, she has really handled the transition well. Her works have been in company here on the dirt, but she's really handled the works well. She's blossomed in the last month physically, and it'll just depend on how her form from over there holds up here. But if it comes from a training standpoint, she definitely, I can give you a big thumbs up on the way she's trained.
Yeah, and I have to ask, we just watched that race from Italy, and again, it was a nice gutsy performance. She took the lead in the stretch and held off a closer, but that was 1.25 miles, and it looks like she appreciates those kind of distance races. The last 3 have been at 1.25 miles, so any concerns Saturday that it's only 1.16 miles?
Well, I was able to look at all of her races, replays of every one of her races, and in every race, she always broke sharp, which some of the European horses don't always do, and in all of those races, she was forwardly placed. So that indicates to me that she's going to be handy. She'll break decent, put herself in a, not necessarily a front-running style, but more of a kind of a stalking spot. And I think her style of running will suit well to American racing.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing her again. Third race is the New Orleans Ladies. Mike, before we let you go, you talked about playing a little bit yourself, and always a little bit of a puzzle also with maiden special events, and the 5th race at Fairgrounds on Saturday, a nice little maiden special event on the grass going about 1 mile. You have 2 in here. Maybe you can give us a little heads up what to expect. Alonge already has a race under the belt. I thought it was a good 4th place finish to provide a foundation to move forward on, but I may be more intrigued with Megan. Goes out for Godolphin, first-time starter by Tappet. Tiziquina, the dam, was a graded stakes winner herself. Produced a sibling called Kings Creek that won its career debut. I always like that when I see first-time starters to have that kind of precociousness in the breeding underneath. So Alonge and Megan, race 5 at Fairgrounds on Saturday. Give us a little heads up.
Well, Alonge did run well in her first start. She definitely needed that first start from an educational standpoint, and she has trained forwardly since that race. So I'd be very shocked if she didn't move forward off of that first race. And then Megan, coincidentally, I trained her dam, Tiziquina, and she was a grade 2 winner for me, so I know the family pretty well. And Megan, I think her dirt works have been moderate. They've been good, but they haven't been great. But I definitely think the grass is going to help her a lot and move her forward. So, we're looking for good things from both of these fillies, and hopefully one of them is good enough to win.
Very good, and looks like you have a nice lineup on Saturday at the Fairgrounds on a very nice card. Mike, we appreciate you taking the time. Sure, it's a very busy weekend, but we wish you a lot of good luck.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, and good luck to everybody out there.
Mike Stidham, again, a nice lineup of stakes performers and those 2 maiden specials as well. We'll keep our eyes on Fairgrounds on Saturday. Thanks again to Mike Stidham, Joe KRISTUFEK, and Mark CASSE for taking some time out of what's a busy schedule, obviously coming into a big stakes day at Fairgrounds today. Should be a lot of fun. Be able to watch all the action here on the network. Also, want to update you, last night our time, Saturday afternoon their time, the incredible Winks wins 32 in a row after last night's win in the George Ryder Stakes. We'll show a replay of that tomorrow on Racing Across America. But Winks does it again, just phenomenal. I think she has 1, maybe 2 starts left. I think it's only 1 star left, but what an incredible career, and that's the 32nd win in a row for the phenomenal Winks down in Australia again last night. Also, want to thank everybody who came out for the bankroll yesterday. That was a lot of fun. We had a little basketball and bankroll here at the Clubhouse Racebook yesterday with the NCAA action on the screens, and I had a $250 bankroll. Hit a couple of pick fours. They didn't knock it out of the park, but we turned our $250 into $541, I think. So everybody on the bankroll team got $36 in free money to walk out of the place with at the end of the day. So it was a nice day. As they say, the two pick four, we had a pick four at Oaklawn. There was a DQ in leg number 3. So we wound up, we had the first two finishers, so we were going to be live with either one, but got the even money favorite moved up over a 7-2 choice. The 7-2 choice stays up. That was probably a much, much nicer pick four for us. And I tweeted out last night, the flip side of that, though, was our pick four at Tampa. We actually wound up with some pretty good value. Got almost $300 for a 50-cent ticket with a $3 horse that took a lot of action in the last leg. So we probably got some decent value there. But again, a fun day and made a little money for the bankroll team, and that's always a lot of fun. And we appreciate everybody who stopped down to participate yesterday at the Clubhouse Racebook. Do want to remind you today, it is a Fan Appreciation Day at the Green Island branch. Stop on by, give us our chance to say thank you to you. Things will kick off in about an hour at noontime. First 50 folks through the door get a bet voucher, giveaway item, and a racing program. There'll be a match bet promo and a contest, complimentary food and beverage, all of that happening today, 12 noon to 5 p.m., the Green Island branch. Again, give us our chance to say thank you to you by swinging by. Tomorrow, there's a $100 win-a-bet contest here at the Clubhouse Racebook. And again, don't forget, all weekend long, you can watch all the basketball action as well as the NCAA tournament continues. So stop on by Clubhouse Racebook tomorrow. Racing, basketball, and a $100 win-a-bet contest. That's Sunday afternoon here at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Also Sunday, a reminder, there will be nighttime thoroughbred racing. That will include the Sunland Derby tomorrow night. Should be a lot of fun. Mucho Gusto is in there. Pletcher has a runner. Asmussen has a runner. Earlier on the card, Bellafina and the Sunland Oaks. I'm assuming with the situation at Santa Anita, they wanted to get a race in because she's already had a couple of stakes wins at Santa Anita this year. But Bellafina also on the card. Nice evening of racing at Sunland Park, and we'll have the nighttime thoroughbreds tomorrow night, Sunday, here at Capital OTB. Want to thank our friends at Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship. Gulfstream Park, champions start here. All right, I'm going to wrap things up for a nice full version of Racing Across America on a Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. Thanks for joining us. Be back in probably about an hour and a half or so with the Saturday afternoon edition of OTB Live. So we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Be back for more Racing Across America tomorrow at 10 a.m. So, of course, we'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.